Silence at home. From the outside, Hannah and Mark's marriage looked effortless. They hosted dinner parties where laughter spilled easily from the dining room into the kitchen. Their social media feeds showed hiking trips, anniversary posts, a shared life, neatly framed. Friends described them as solid, balanced, the calm couple. Inside the house, silence did most of the talking. It settled into corners like dust, unnoticed until it thickened. Hannah woke each morning before Mark, moving quietly through routines they'd perfected. Coffee brewed, lunches packed, a kiss placed on his cheek that never quite woke him. She told herself this was intimacy, the small, steady gestures that added up to commitment. Mark told himself the same. They rarely fought. They've rarely raised their voices. They simply stopped reaching. At night, they lay side by side, phones glowing, bodies angled just enough apart to avoid contact. When Hannah turned off her screen and stared at the ceiling, Mark assumed she was tired. When Mark stayed late at work, Hannah assumed it was stress. Assumptions became the language of the house. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday that should have been ordinary. Hannah came home early, chest tight with something she couldn't name. She stood in the doorway of the living room, watching Mark scroll through his tablet. "Can we talk?" she asked. "About what?" he replied, not unkindly. "I don't know," she said. "Us." Mark paused, searching her face for urgency. He didn't see anger, he didn't see crisis. He saw inconvenience. "We're fine," he said. "Aren't we?" Hannah nodded. She always nodded. That night, the silence grew louder. Resentment doesn't arrive dramatically. It accumulates in moments that pass unacknowledged missed questions, interrupted thoughts, the slow realization that being understood has become optional. Hannah stopped sharing things that felt fragile. Mark stopped noticing the absence. They moved like co-workers managing a household, efficient, courteous, distant. Mark prided himself on being reliable. He paid the bills, planned vacations, fixed things before they broke. He didn't realize that Hannah wasn't asking to be taken care of. She was asking to be seen. The marriage counselor's office smelled like lavender and false hope. Mark sat upright, attentive. Hannah folded inward, hands knotted in her lap. "I feel lonely," she said finally. "Even when we're together." Mark frowned. "I don't understand. I'm here, but you're not with me," she said. The counselor nodded gently. What does it look like to you, Hannah?" She searched for words. Curiosity, presence, someone asking follow-up questions, Mark bristled. "So now I'm not enough because I don't interrogate you." Hannah flinched. The silence followed them home, heavier for having been named. Weeks passed. They tried small changes, date nights, phone-free dinners, conversations scheduled like appointments. It helped, until it didn't. Mark believed effort meant fixing. Hannah believed effort meant feeling. Neither was wrong. Neither felt met. The resentment shifted quiet but sharp. Hannah began to imagine what it would be like to leave. Not dramatically, just less lonely. Mark began to sense distance, but told himself it would pass. Everything did. The breaking point came quietly. Hannah's father died. Mark handled logistics with precision. Flights booked, meals arranged, sympathy cards written. He held her hand at the funeral, but when Hannah cried at night, Mark froze. He offered solutions where grief needed space. "I don't need advice," she whispered once. "I need you to stay." "I am staying," he said, frustrated. She meant emotionally. He didn't hear it. A month later, Hannah said the words she'd been rehearsing in silence. "I don't think this is working." Mark stared at her, stunned. "Since when?" "Since a long time ago," she said gently. "I just stopped saying it out loud." They sat across from each other, the house filled with the absence of sound. "This isn't a betrayal," Hannah said. "It's exhaustion." Mark's anger flared not at her, but at the realization that he'd mistaken peace for connection. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he asked. "I did," she said, "just not loudly enough." The separation was quiet, no slammed doors. New public spectacle friends were confused, but you two seemed so happy. Hannah smiled politely. Mark stayed silent. Months later, alone in the house, Mark noticed how loud it felt. The silence was different now, raw, honest. He replayed moments he'd dismissed, invitations he'd declined emotionally while remaining physically present. For the first time, he understood that neglect didn't require cruelty, just absence. Hannah, in her new apartment, relearned how to speak without measuring the impact first. The quiet there felt chosen. They didn't villainize each other. They didn't rewrite history. They simply acknowledged the truth to long bury it under politeness. Love, they learned, doesn't always end with noise. Sometimes it fades in silence. And sometimes recognizing that silence is the first honest conversation a marriage has had in years.